Munich HighEnd is the biggest hi-fi show in the world, and this year it was bigger than ever. I had an amazing time, and if you've not done so already, go and have a look at the video which showcases some of the highlights of our trip, not just to Munich, but around Europe before that as well. It was absolutely brilliant fun, and I can't wait for next year. Whilst in Munich though, we didn't just go and try different headphones and speakers, we did things like opening up the Zale HM1 with Michael Zale. Don't miss that video, by the way, if you're curious as to what's inside that. But also, we spent some time talking to people in the industry about the new products and projects that they have been working on, starting with Crinacle.
I'm here with my good friend Crinacle.
Hello.
You
friend.
just... Brother. Yesterday, I was there when you launched Project Red.
Yes. There we go.
Red.
It's out.
Congratulations.
It's out. It's done. I'm done. I'm done with life. I'm done. The 20th of May.
It's been almost 24 hours since then. How do you feel?
Quite good, actually. Like, the nerves are out, you know, after letting all of the hype and excitement just steep out of my body after a while. It's like, now I'm like, okay, I'm good. I've accepted everything that's happening right now.
This has been a pretty long project.
Yes.
You put over a year into it.
Yes.
And
10 months, 11 months, but who's counting? Yeah.
Well, a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I heard previous revisions, and now I've heard your new one. I love it quite a lot. I know that you've told me a little bit about the point of this project, but I'd love for the people to hear a little bit from you as well. So what is Red? What makes it different?
This all boils back to the original Zero. So the original Zero was tuned to the Harman in-ear target, as a lot of people would know.
Yeah.
But I don't like the Harman in-ear target. The 2017, 2019, both of them, I think they're garbage. But no one really... How do I put it?
Maybe challenged?
Not really challenged. No one really sees it that way because they don't. A lot of people are like armchair objectivists. They're like Harman in ear, good. Anything else that strays from it, bad. Right? Whereas for me, I've listened to thousands upon thousands of HighEnds in the world.
Probably more than anyone.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, Harman in ear is fine. It's not like end game. Like, oh, everyone in the world is gonna like it.
Right.
And that's why I created the Red, which is, to a certain extent, a variation of Harman. So with the upper mid-range is dialed down a little bit, the bass, as a consequence, is also dialed down as well, because when you shift down the upper frequencies, you actually shift the perception of frequencies towards the bass. So with that same level of bass, it sounds too much.
Right.
So I dialed it down, but for those who would like the same level of bass, you still can do it with the impedance adapter, which brings it up additional 3 decibels.
Which you actually include in the box.
Which is in the box, yeah. So it is a 2-in-1 system in a weird kind of way. Yeah.
So in a way, it's almost like if you start from Harman and then you went into like a refinement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or at least like, because Harman itself was not a refined study, or at least the in-ear target was not a refined study. So to me, it was the idea of like, what if you gave people the opportunity to adjust for tilt values as well? And I feel like most people would also adjust the treble down, but as a consequence, also adjust the bass down, because in Harman, in the Harman research, the over-ear targets, where they had 200 people research on it, they realized that the 2 parameters track each other very well. So if you added a lot of bass, you also had a lot of treble, and if you dialed in with less bass, you also dialed in with even less treble.
That makes sense. And to my ear, it's come out very, very well balanced.
So what you heard in New York was closer to that of with the bass jack adapter, which I felt like was adding a bit extra fuzziness, making it less technical in a certain way. So I didn't like that. Or at least I was like second guessing myself. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? Let's make this clean. Let's make it more fast, more like the bass more separated from the rest of the mid-range, and that's where you get the default option for this.
And the end user, they have a choice now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I quite
no
like
complaints.
that.
Yeah. So my question to you is, when I did my own little testing for the Red, and I let people try between a lot of different versions.
Yeah.
It was kind of a 50-50 split between like, less bass and more bass.
Yeah.
So what about you? Less bass or more bass?
I like how it turned out.
The default option?
I use it without the adapter, personally. With some songs, I would put the adapter on, but me personally, straight plugged in. I'm happy with that. I think that's right at a good level.
Okay. I need to get more data on this because this kind of funnels into my own personal research. Like, not really Harman. I'm not going to change Harman's name by saying like I'm doing exactly what Harman does.
Which one do you prefer?
I actually prefer one without.
Without?
Because like I said, okay, if I'm outdoors walking around with the bass jack, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Indoors in a silent environment, that's where I take out the bass jack because at that point it's too much. Again, fuzziness, slight bloat. I don't even call it bloat. It's just a bit of fuzziness.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that a lot of audiophiles will probably agree that they'll probably prefer it with a little bit less bass. I think that's the way to go, and it's still plenty present, deep and powerful. So yeah, I think you nailed it. I really do.
like to think so. Because when I first released the graph of the red, everyone looked at it like it was too little bass.
Oh no.
Oh no. I need more people to come up and be like, oh, there's a bass adapter. I don't use it because it's just enough bass.
Right. Well, we'll see what people say soon enough.
All my collabs are a social experiment now.
Yeah. See what happens next. Either way.
I have like 5 different projects in the run now.
Good lord. Hopefully they won't all take a year.
You'll be surprised.
Oh man.
Some might take 2.
You heard it here first.
Some might even go like all the way. Some might even be finished like this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be 1. I mean the Blessing 3 Dusk.
You feel comfortable giving us any like hints yet?
The Dusk?
The Dusk, yeah.
Okay, so I have one hint, and I'm not sure if I'm going to say it. I'm allowed to say this, but we are playing around with trying to do a different faceplate. What kind of faceplate? That's a different issue. But one of our options is really, really expensive to the point where the faceplate itself is $30 US.
Wow.
Like you mentioned, it's a tiny IEM faceplate and it's already $30 US. But so we're wondering if can we get away with making the Dusk at like 350 US, like 30 bucks above the regular Blessing, but have that be the only Dusk version.
Right.
Or are people going to complain and then we have to give out like the $330 version,
right?
Just so people just shut the fuck up. I don't know.
It's nice that you care about that though.
Yeah. But no, that's the thing is that either direction that I go, I don't make any extra money.
Right.
The faceplate is already fucking expensive. So it's like, even if we increase the price by $30 US, we make 0 extra out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you might get a better product.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just that whether or not people are willing to pay, that's a question on all our minds right now. Do we want 350 or should we just stick to 330? That's the question.
For a better product, I think it's worth it. The time will tell.
Time will tell. It's all like some, I don't know, I know there are penny pinchers out there, but like, no, $20.
Yeah. Well, for those people, there's 0 and red.
Yeah. But some people will be like, the 0 and red are not good enough.
Oh.
So I'm like, yeah, then there's the Dusk. Oh, there it is.
You walk a delicate balance.
I wish. I hope.
Well,
I try.
It's been great seeing you, my friend, here in Munich.
Nice seeing you again. You better shield the red, if not I'm calling the police on you. Cable's bad.
Dan and Clark Audio were showing off their new Corina electrostatic headphone, and we caught up with Dan to talk about what it is that makes the Corina different from other electrostatic options.
Well, I'm here at HighEnd in Munich, and it's great to see you again. It's a pleasure. DCA Carina, something that I've listened to actually back in Kanjim, New York. I'm excited to get to hear it again here, but I finally get a chance to talk to you, ask you some questions about it. This is really different from every other E-Stat I've ever heard.
Yes.
It actually does bass. That's probably the most common thing that you hear. I know there's more to it than that, but that in itself makes it really, really unique. Could you tell me a little bit more about this?
Sure. There are a couple of things going on here. The first is this was used as an 88 millimeter driver, which is a very large driver for an electrostat.
Yeah.
And that allows it to move a fair amount of air. Also, if the seal isn't perfect, like if you have glasses, a lot of electrostats will develop a very sharp peak at around 80 hertz and then fall off and have no bass output. This one is kind of unique in that because of the large driver, there's more air mass loading the driver, so the resonant frequency is lower. And if you break the seal, you'll end up with a peak at around 40 hertz, and it rolls off below 30.
Okay.
So you actually end up having a very satisfying bass response, even when you don't have a perfect seal. The other thing about it is that a lot of electrostats will have a pretty pronounced peak at 1 kilohertz.
Okay.
And this is my opinion, but I think subjectively a lot of people equate that with detail. And this actually doesn't really do that. It has a very gentle, very diffuse bump at 1 kilohertz.
Okay.
And then it has an almost perfect rise all the way up in frequency response to about 7 kilohertz. So from 200 hertz to 7 kilohertz, if you reference the Harman target, it's not off the target by more than like 1.25 dB through that entire range.
Wow.
Which
That's
is
tight.
yeah, that's unique, and so that's what gives this headphone such a wonderful mid-range. You know,
Okay.
it's like
Yeah.
my favorite thing about this is just like vocals or strings, guitars, anything that's got a lot of energy in that region just comes through super lifelike to me.
It does sound very natural.
Yeah,
And the other thing there is that, you know, being E-stat, it doesn't have big magnets in it, and I'm, you know, not doing neck crunches every time I wear it.
Yeah, this does weigh a little more than our Vocha, but because it has the suspension system that we developed for Stealth and Expanse, you don't really feel the weight because it's so nicely distributed.
Yeah, that's very comfortable.
And the other thing, of course, is you just put it on and it fits. You don't have to fuss with the fit or set any ratchets or anything else. It just works. The other thing that's really important in this headphone is that it incorporates our AMTS technology, the acoustic metamaterial tuning system. And that lets us smooth out the high frequencies so that it has, above 3 kilohertz, it just has a really even delivery. It doesn't have any super pronounced peaks. And it gives that, again, just a natural timbre. So cymbals have a nice tang to them instead of going tss.
Right.
And that's a big deal, you know, because the other thing a lot of electrostats do, I'll reference the Harman curve because people kind of generally will, you know, the more technically oriented people understand that. But in a headphone's high frequency response, the response will characteristically measure like this when it's acoustically neutral.
Yeah.
And what happens with a lot of electrostats is they measure like that.
Right.
And so sometimes by the time you get to 20 kilohertz, they can be up by as much as 10 to 15 decibels above what the Harman target would indicate.
Yeah, tons of high frequency energy. Yeah.
And this one just hugs the curve.
Okay.
So above 10 kilohertz, it's just hugging that curve tightly.
Yeah.
And so for some people who want a more lively, shimmery electrostatic sound, that may not be right. But my view of it is for people who have other electrostats, this is a real complementary sound so that some things where those electrostats may just not work for, this will probably provide a nice solution. And then for people who didn't like the classic electrostat sound, this may be an introduction into the electrostat experience.
Yeah, this is a lot more truthful than most of the electrostats that I've heard. I will say that for sure.
Yeah. You know, I always loved the resolution capability of the electrostats, and the cool thing about them is that the drivers typically are lighter than the air that they're moving. And you can't do that with any other technology.
Right.
The trick with that, of course, is controlling it and not having that rising high frequency response or resonant peaks where the driver tension makes the diaphragm oscillate.
Yeah, it's almost as if you took all the benefits of a planar and all the benefits of an E-stat and married them together.
That was what we tried to do.
I think you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
Dan, I greatly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to checking out the Corina at home, so you guys will see that video eventually. It's one of my favorite things at this show. And shoot, I'm sure a bunch of people want to get back to listening to this, so I'll let you go. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's not all about new products and releases though. Sometimes it's about interesting changes to existing products, and there was one quite eye-catching change to the Raal CS1A that Danny from Raal told us about.
These are the built off of the CA headphone, the Circumaral. These will be called the CS, meaning custom shop. And we'll probably offer in total about 7 or 8 colors. Right now we have 4. We'll add some more. These just came out 2 days ago, the first day of the show here. Headbands will also be offered in different colors. So you can specify patterns and hardware color.
Will people be able to do their own patterns or colors at all, or is it preset?
You know,
stuff
we've
only?
looked into that, and right now it doesn't seem like it's going to happen very soon. It actually sounds like a possibility, though. Right now you have to buy like 40 yards of a pattern when you make
Okay.
it. But I have a feeling, you know, it's going to be like 3D printing. Eventually you're going to just print out a sheet off of your inkjet.
So how are these made then? They're not 3D printed.
They're hydrofilm.
hydrofilm. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pattern that's already on this material, and it sits in water, and then you bring the shell up through the water, and then it clings to it all the way around. Remarkably tough.
Right.
You would think it would just kind of chip off and stuff. It's crazy. It does some sort of an adhesion process, and so once it's on really well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think people will be quite interested to see those. They look fantastic.
Well, they're kind of fun, and I think they're a little bit upsetting in a way, but I've had a few headphone makers come over and say, you know, this is really cool because everything is either wood or black. And so it's kind of neat to have that, and I kind of dig that, just that it's different. And the ribbon headphones are such oddballs anyways, you know, very few people have really experienced them. So it's like a refresh of certain things, certain norms.
Munich HighEnd is an incredible experience, and I would so love to show you everything that we saw, tried, and all the discussions that we had with people, but unfortunately if we did that we would be here for about 4 days, so unfortunately it's something you will just have to experience yourself. And hopefully we'll see you at a future event. I would implore you to go, it is so much fun. And if you see us, come and say hi. Until then though, say hello on our Discord server or the headphones.com forum. You can ask questions about gear, music, anything else at all, and I and other Wiggly Air enthusiasts will endeavour to help. Until next time, thanks for watching.
I'm done. I'm done with life. I'm done.